Hello. I'm going to give it a few minutes before I start since no one's here yet. I know it's noon on New Year's Day, so that might mean that people don't show up. Hello, Jesse. Welcome. I'm good. How are you doing? All right, so we've got a few people here. I figured that with the new year starting, I would do a rundown of a basic bullet journal. I do very basic bullet journaling, and I thought I would show folks what I do and how I've adapted my bullet journal for my use. So I'm going to show a few things, and this is a Leuchtturm 1917. Usually when I'm writing, I just call it a L 1917. This is the notebook that writer Carol suggests to use for your bullet journal. It is not my favorite journal that I've ever used. It is .grid. I prefer a Baron Fig Confidant over the Leuchtturm. Baron Fig has better paper, in my opinion. Fewer pages, but better paper. So this is actually a notebook that I bought years ago when this color first came out, and I had to replace the elastic on it because it had gone all soggy and soft, so it wasn't working anymore, so I just ripped it out and put in a nice sturdy elastic. So anyway, this was a notebook that got screwed up, which if you are someone who is starting out with bullet journaling and you're not sure if you can give yourself over to the bullet journal, if you will, this is a good way to start, because if you start with a notebook or journal that you screwed up, like I bought this so that I could test out inks and practice calligraphy, and found that I didn't like the paper enough, and I found the .grid size too small for practicing calligraphy. So anyway, so this was a notebook that I had screwed up, which is a great way to start with a bullet journal, because if you don't care about it, then you're not going to worry too much about being perfectionist. So screwed up notebook is great. So let me show you my setup. I'm going to start by showing you the future log. So this is what a future log looks like in my world. It's got this is a spread, just like in art journaling. Bullet journaling refers to things as spreads. This is a spread. It's a 6-month spread, January through June, and each one is a third of the page. And this is the prettiest part of my notebook, and you can hear my wife in the background maybe asking the dogs if they want to go outside, even though I've already let them out. So anyway, I rubber stamp the months on my side hustle bullet journal, and I do have a separate bullet journal for work, because I believe in keeping my work life separate from my side hustle. It wouldn't be very professional for me to bring my work notebook home and show it on video. I actually couldn't, because confidentiality. So anyway, so your future log will take up 2 spreads or 4 pages, 6 months per spread. And what goes in here are events that are in the future. I mean, that's pretty much the basics. So in my future log, I've got I have to order a new water drop filter this month. Next month, I have to decide if I want to renew or cancel Hulu. And then the month after that, my wife's birthday, and I have to decide if I want to renew or cancel Spotify. So those are the sorts of things that go into your future log. Birthdays, weddings, things that you need to know, or that you know about pretty far in advance. So that goes into your future log. After you do your future log, what most people do is they start their monthly log. And so each month, you don't do these in advance typically. I do mine a little different, and I'll go into that in a little bit. So at the beginning of each month, or a week or so before the month, you flip to an open spread and you do a monthly log, which is essentially the days of the month written down with the days of the week next to it. And what you would do here is you would migrate things from your future log into your monthly log. So like I have today off from work. I'm recording RSVP. This coming Sunday we'll be publishing RSVP on the Wednesday. I get paid next Thursday. And then so things I might pencil things in. So the next time we might record RSVP would be the 20th of the month. So I would pencil that in. If that changes, then I would write it in like I'll find out this this Sunday, when I'll be recording the next episode of RSVP. But that would definitely be published on Wednesday the 23rd. And I have Martin Luther King Day off. And for me, I signify weekends by circling the weekend days with orange, which isn't really necessary because you have the S and the S. The M signifies when I am recording Manuscripting Pod. I did take this past week off of Manuscripting Pod because I was traveling. I thought I was going to be able to record it, and I just couldn't get my crap together to be able to record. So that's what your monthly log looks like. Then on the my other left hand, the right hand page, you would put your task list. So that's your task list. And so I'm gonna order that new water drop filter, and then anything else that would come up during this month would go into there. So what might happen from here, what most people do after that, is they create their monthly logs. And monthly logs, I don't use them in my side hustle, but I did create an example for you in the back of my notebook. So what you would do, each morning you write down the day. In my work bullet journal, I write down the day and then the day of the week so that I can keep track of that. And then you would basically write down all of your tasks. So today's task: record live bullet journaling video at noon, write reviews, see the list on page 43. We'll get to that in a minute. Take out the trash, order the water drop filter, take a review for photos, which is also on page 43, order pellets, file postal claim, and see if the post office can find the package. And this is actually something that I know that I can't do. So what you would do with something like that is you would migrate that to the next day. And that's just the migration symbol. Post office lost a package, sadly. And I'm actually pretty upset about losing that package. It was a relatively expensive fountain pen that someone had bought from me, and yeah, it's horrifying that they lost it. But anyway, so that's what a daily log would look like. I don't use daily logs in this particular bullet journal because I don't need them. I do, for my side hustle, I use a pocket notebook, and for that I use just like a weekend daily log, and that works better for me than having it in my actual bullet journal because I don't need as much space. I would end up having in a spread probably 4 weeks worth of information. So what I then do, or where my sort of bullet journal is different than most people's, is rather than immediately start my weekly logs or daily logs after the monthly log, I actually did all of my monthly logs all together in the front because that works better for me. So after, what you would typically do is you would have this spread, your monthly log with your task list, then your daily logs, and you would just start doing collections after that. For me, I don't do daily logs, so I do this. I have all of my months all together, and then I immediately start doing collections. So what you would typically have is you would have your month, you would have your daily logs, and you would just start peppering in collections in among your daily log. So what I do is I have a year's worth of monthly logs, and then I just start putting collections in. And these are all, I'm planning some RSVP stuff. I'm kind of thinking about personal mission statements for my blog, vision statements for Manupod, Comfortable Shoes Studio, like where am I going. This is for an upcoming episode, some goals for 2019 for Comfortable Shoes Studio and Manuscripting Pod. And one of the things that's come up that I want to start doing for Comfortable Shoes Studio is some ink reviews. So I'm allowed to use blue or black ink at my current job. And so I wanted to think about the things that are important about ink reviews for what I want to have. So this collection is all about ink reviews. This is it's sort of a habit tracker, but it's more of just a working list of different things, different tasks. So in this case, I've got each of the reviews or articles that I'm planning on writing for Comfortable Shoes Studio. D stands for draft. The little camera rubber stamp stands for photos. P in green means that I've posted it or it's been scheduled for posting. And then as I accomplish things, I just sort of X them out. As you can see, I've written the review, or I've drafted the review. I haven't gone back and edited the reviews yet for Diatramentis, Deepwater Obsession Black, Organic Studio, Santiago Bay Blue, Organic Studio Nitrogen, Robert Oster, Fire and Ice, and Walden. Is that Robert Oster, or is that... I always get those confused, the two O names. But anyway, I'll go back in and I will check to see who... I'm pretty sure that's actually another Organic Studio ink. But regardless, like, these are the reviews that I'm planning coming up. And so all of this relates to this because I've got these ink reviews written in draft. I'll start taking the photos, and then I'll start scheduling them on the blog. So how do I keep track of this? The index in a bullet journal is a little different. When I am indexing or how I've indexed in the past, which makes a lot of sense to me, is that I have a list of the page numbers and then the topic. So page number and topic. So all of those things, typically when you have an index or a table of contents, what you have is the page number, then the idea. And the difference in a bullet journal index is that it looks more like an index that you would find in a book or, in a reference book. So you have the topic and then the page numbers. So the other thing that happens is as you fill up pages in your book or you create collections after your daily pages, you're just going to start writing on the next page. And I had written in some penciled in some page numbers. So like say vision statements, those are on page 34 to 35. And the Leuchtturm is, fortunately, it does have page numbers at the bottom. It's a little teeny tiny thing in a very, very pale shade of gray. So vision statements are on 34 to 35. If I decided that I was going to start working on those again, so let's say after my blog post log, I decided I was going to start writing more about the vision statement on page 44. What I would do is I would come back in, and so vision statements 34 to 35, you put a comma, and then you just plug in 44 in there. So like let's say 36 to 38 is mission statements. After I write some vision statements, maybe I go back and on page 45, I write about more mission statements. I would log that there as a 45. So basically, it gives you a lot of opportunity to keep track of your different topics by just writing in the different pages that things are written on. And I'm just going to erase that while I'm thinking about it. So I hope that part makes sense. I mean, I know that a lot of people get really confused about the index because, how do you have enough room? How do you know which pages you're going to write on? And the fact is you don't have to know because you just write a comma and then the next set of pages where you've written. So it's very open-ended and allows you to be flexible. So you can come back 6 weeks from now, and maybe you're going to write about RSVP discussion questions on page 137. You would just comma 137. So that makes it easy to know where you're going to go. And that's pretty much it for how I set up my personal side hustle bullet journal. Anyone have any questions? Are there any comments that I've missed? Yeah, it's really bummed out about the postal mishap. So anyone have any questions about how this is set up? I use little plastic tabs to find each thing. Another thing that I will do is for this blog post, I will put a little post-it tab up here so that I can always find it. I don't know where I have like these harder plastic tabs. These are very soft. I've got the harder plastic tabs, like index tabs, that I'll put on that, because this page, I will use this page, I'll fill it up, and when I run out of room, then I'll migrate it to another page in the bullet journal. So this one does not, I haven't moved my habit tracker into this as of yet. I actually, when I was on vacation, stopped doing my habit tracker. I ran out of room on the 23rd of December and just haven't started another one. So this is my very, very basic habit tracker that was in my pocket notebook. So breakfast, medication, writing, and so I even stopped recording whether or not I had written. I wrote a couple of days during my first day of my new job, and then I did write a couple of days while I was on vacation. Most of them were blog posts, which I tend to not record the word count on. But yeah, so I need to, because I was debating, do I want to do it in my pocket notebook? I do like the size and the form factor of the pocket notebook, but I check in with my bullet journal in the evening, and I'm not using it like a journal. I'm basically using this as a way to keep track of ideas very specific to my side hustle. I haven't been journaling in the same way I used to in a really long time. Most of the stuff that I write is very focused on the blog or the podcast, so it's more thinking about and planning those things. So anyway, that's a really, really basic bullet journal setup with a future log. I may actually stop using the future log because it doesn't seem necessary if I have this and my months all written out to use both of them, because I can always like just write it on the task list for that month. But again, this is how bullet journaling is really flexible, so you use what works for you. I think that so for my day job bullet journal, I use the future log, because that really is helpful. It lets me know when I need to call insurance companies for particular clients. It lets me know when I've got particular things planned with the clients, like when am I seeing this client at this time. So the future log really works well for that, as well as the monthly log. So I might know that on Tuesday I'm meeting with Joe Schmo at noon, so that would go on this. And then the daily log lets me, like when you do a daily log, lets me know very specific tasks that I might use at that day job. So the daily log is really, really helpful for the day job, in my opinion. I just don't use it for the side hustle because I don't have tasks that I do every day for the blog. Usually, most of my work on my side hustle for the blog, for RSVP, for Manuscripting Pod, is all done on the weekends. And it might be that I start integrating my weekend log into this notebook, but I've been using my pocket notebook for that kind of planning for a really long time, and that works really well for me. So anyway, if you have questions, you can leave them in the comments. If you are looking for a very, very simple and easy to understand guide for how to set up a bullet journal, tinyrayofsunshine.com is a really great website. It's a wonderful resource about bullet journaling. She has a list of minimalistic or minimal bullet journals that I found really helpful while I was trying to figure out what I was going to use. And you can also read the bullet journal method. I don't find that as helpful for figuring out what I'm going to use as I do Tiny Ray of Sunshine. So her website was a really great inspiration, as well as her links to other websites. So yeah, anyway, maybe I can say or so again in this video. So anyway, if you've got questions, leave them in the comments. If you'd enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, there's a little button down there somewhere where you can subscribe to my channel. I don't post very often. One of my goals for this new year is to do a few more live videos via the RSVP group and via this channel, and we'll see how that works. Anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up if you want, and don't forget to subscribe with that little red button down there. Bye. And Happy New Year. I keep forgetting to say that.